Welcome back. So this is the first time I've had, I think, a co-host on to talk about this Birds of Prey series. So we are doing Birds of Prey number 5, Megadeth Part 5, writer Kelly Thompson, art and colors by Arist Dane, I'm going to guess. And the publisher synopsis, because I'm still lazy. Can the birds and the Amazon save Sin? As the birds and the Amazons double their efforts in fighting Megara, Dinah and Sin take the battle inside, quite literally. The battle for the fate of Sin has now truly begun, and it is not something everyone is gonna walk away from. Donovan, you caught up on this. I know that you read the first issue, because I made a crack about Harley almost taking Cassandra out with a fish. Because I found that amusing, but you did not. But what are your thoughts leading up to this issue? What have you thought about this series?
Yes, actually, I read the first issue because I had a review copy because I was interviewing Kelly Thompson about it, and I really enjoyed it. Like, I'm not. I've been reading Birds of Prey on and off since the New 52, which is a sad thing to say. Um, but and I'm actually not terribly familiar with Kelly Thompson. I know that she's done a lot of Marvel work. I believe she worked on Captain Marvel, right?
Yes.
Carol Danvers. So this is my first exposure
Kate
to her,
Bishop,
and
yeah.
right away, to me, she just feels like a real fan of these characters in the DC world. And I overall enjoyed issue 1, and I've really liked everything leading up to here. I think she has a great respect for Cassandra Cain, which is important. I like how all the characters are rendered. I'm liking Big Barda. 'Cause I've not read a lot of comics with Big Barda in them. Although I've always liked the character. Dinah is great, and I loved everything with Wonder Woman in the last couple of issues. I love Green Arrow just sweating bullets the entire time. Like, I'm sorry, Diana. Please don't punch me too hard. No, Diana just
Uh,
rocks up and like just knocks him around, and he's like, "I'm just trying to be a distraction." And then she goes over there, and then she just has this awesome full face splash at the end, and Barda's trying to do her best, and she like has her over her knee, and then Diana just kind of gets up off the floor and just like knocks her out in one punch. And then Cassandra does her best, and it broke my heart. Then like she like just blows Cassandra back. I mean, I knew it was coming, but that splash page, I got to that page, I was like, no. So I have really loved this series because I think it's like pure comic book reading experience. And I mean, I will say that like I do think, and maybe it's just because of her presence, that I think like when King Shark first showed up, I was like, okay, is this just some sort of like backdoor, advertising for the Harley Quinn show? Because I think
uh,
Harley's presence as sort of like the loudmouth of the team, it was annoying me. I'm not saying that like Kelly Thompson was writing her wrong. I was just saying like just her being here, I was like, I want her to be actually be quiet. But the
mhm.
characters also say the same thing. And so I was okay with it in the succeeding issues. But when King Shark showed up, I was like, this feels like advertisement, and I wasn't quick to follow up on it. But when I was going to be on here, I made sure to read the rest of it, and I love those issues. So I
Okay.
am digging this book almost as much as I'm digging more than Nightwing right now, and also World's Finest, which I've really liked. Another solid DC book right now.
I'm glad to hear it. Would you read a team up book between Big Barda and Cass?
Of course, I read anything that Cassandra's in. Uh, I even got around to reading Deceased eventually. So like she shows up, but she's not ruined. Then I'll read it.
Yeah. I and that is like the most shocking partnership that I would never have come up with, but I just enjoy how those two interact. I love how Big Barda calls Cass little bat. And they can, yeah, chat about fighting and things like that. It's just I would love to have like a buddy cop issue with them, or not an issue, but yeah, a whole series or like a little mini or something. So then we get
Hmm.
to 5. And I'm just wondering if you feel like this feels completely different than the first 4 issues that we were reading.
Yeah, because the art is worse.
Worse? Well, that's a weird, I mean, you don't like it as much as the initial arc.
No, I love Romero's artwork. Romero
I
right
agree,
away
yeah.
has a kind of like um classic, very sublime, dynamic, artistic style that I thought worked well. And then like I opened this issue up, in all respect to the artist here, but I'm like, why is everybody having eyeshadow? You know, why does everybody have the exact same body type? Why is everybody not having as expressive, facial expressions? This to me looked a lot more like when people think of like comic book artists drawing women, they think of this, rather
Mm,
than Romero just drawing the characters in a very like, kind of grounded, but also very like dynamic comic book way. Like I thought that they really had a real team here. And I honestly am crossing my fingers that Romero just had like the flu 1 month and couldn't do the issue
yeah,
because like when you have certain runs like Bruno Redondo on Nightwing or Dan Mora on World's Finest, those are runs. The team up with Ken Taylor and Mark Waid, that's like an iconic team up. I thought we had something with Kelly Thompson and is it Leo Romero? Am I getting that right?
yeah, Leonardo Romero. Yep.
Yeah. So I was like, yeah, this is another solid DC team. So I'm reading this. I was like, "What? Here. So immediately for me, I don't like the artwork. I just think that like it's not even so much like I am allergic to um artists having a more puerile take on the female form than other artists.
Yeah.
But compared to, in my opinion, a master like Romero, I just thought it was like you could have gotten like Michael Cho or Jordan Gibson, and it would be different, but kind of being in the same vein. But this is such a jarring change that it immediately, to my opinion, and this might sound mean, but it hurt the book because the change was so jarring.
Yeah.
Um, through artistically, first and foremost.
Yeah, because this I just did not care for it as much as 1 through 4. And like each month that this has been coming in after 1, I'm so excited to read it and I love it. And they're like so close to getting perfect 10s. But this one I'm like, oh man, what has happened? And I think maybe part of it is that I wouldn't say that it's bad. It reminds me, I've got right now the first page open, which when I opened this for the first time that I read it, I was like, why do I have to look at Dinah's crotch? So on page 1, it's like directly up, but that's the eye goes there, man. Even the squint test, that's where it is. So that was frustrating. Their faces all look pretty similar. There's a bit of a Benez kind of face in there, but they also
Yeah.
reminded me of that line of statues, which I can't remember what it's called, but like very particular style that all the characters kind of have the same face, kind of reminds me of that. But I also felt like I don't know, the tone shifted or just the sense of danger kind of shifted for me, and it didn't seem like the heightened sense of awareness of like, oh, this is going to be really bad at the end of the previous issue didn't really carry over here. So I just felt like something happened. For one point, let's see here. When Sin gets pulled away into these threads here, Dinah completely shuts down as if
Yeah.
Sin is dead. And I thought to myself, that is not Dinah at all. Like she's just completely shut down and other people have to say, "Hey, like she's probably still okay." My idea of Dinah is like she would have run right into it after Sin. Did you have any I mean, this is just like one beat, but did you have any issues with this that she's just like, "Sin's gone, we failed, that's it."
It was like a moment. I think what took me away from it was that, like Harley's the one to like snap her out of it.
Yeah.
And it's like, she's joking around and then she's like being serious, then she hits her,
Yep.
and then she's like, well, Harley's right. And I just don't need this book to advertise Harley Quinn. Like I just don't need to be sold on Harley Quinn being here. And again, I'm not saying that like that's not Harley's character, but she's so popular right now at DC that is difficult. Like I remember one time where Batman Day was turned to Harley Day. And that's fine. I'm not I don't hate Harley Quinn, but I'm not always on board with the constant promotion of her. That's because I feel that like it's just it's I don't know. It's not as effective to me as other characters. I think that every other character here, with the exception of Zealot, insofar as much as I'm just not familiar with Zealot,
Yeah.
I just have much more of an affinity towards. And I feel that like maybe Cass, who is of a similar age, or Barda, who is as experienced as Dinah, would have been sooner to do that. I mean, I guess the scene here is that they're fighting these like Megadeth vines and stuff, so they're distracted. Like they have to turn around to notice them Harley do that, while Harley is the one towards her. So I
Yeah.
guess it's set up that way. But I don't know, like it feels like Harley has a big scene every issue, and I was one of the big sort of like when Sandra was announced to be in the BOP, I was like, yay! It was Harley Quinn. I was like, no! And this is not exactly what I was expecting, but at the same time, it was kind of like that part of that no that like I just don't want everything to have like, you know, the kind of poochiness about it, right?
Hmm.
When Harley's on panel, everyone should be asking, "Where's Harley?" Like, even if they're kind of saying we don't like her, that's still kind of like promoting her as like this sort of like wild card.
Yeah.
And it's not bad writing, but it is sort of a vibe that I feel makes the story feel less organic.
Mm.
Um, as a reader of a particular kind.
Yeah. I guess it seems like in every issue, Harley kind of comes through in an unexpected way to help out. So it's a lot of like, let's prove that Harley can be on this team, whether that's to readers maybe or also to Dinah, I think. In this moment, I think Harley's being Harley, so we can probably agree that that fits the character, but I think the moment shouldn't have happened at all because I just feel like Dinah would not have felt like she lost Sin. She would have just run in there. So I think that's my greater issue. Inside is an interesting, I mean, what do you think about this conversation? We find out that Megara has all these threads of people's lifelines, but not, I'll use a gender neutral pronoun, not their own. And so is going to take over Sin's life. And my big question was, well, why Sin? And then we find out, well, Sin kind of summoned Megara because Sin wanted to be strong and a hero type like Dinah. But I mean, I look around and I think Sin. I mean, you got Cassandra. Dinah just has this one power. Why do you need to be superpowered? So, what do you think about the conceit of why Megara is here and that Sin has summoned them or her?
The Personally for me, I'm at a bit of a loss because I really am not familiar with Sin at all.
Okay.
I've not read stories where she showed up before in the original Birds of Prey run. I kind of thought she was younger than 16. Is that right?
When we first met her, but I guess we've aged up, which means your dear Cass might be an actual adult.
I mean, she
Cass
should be
might
an
be a
adult, but
drink.
like,
Can she drink?
I mean, she was 17 when she first was created. I know that they've done that down since, but like, whatever.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, like, I will say that like when she's kind of explaining things, like it wasn't sort of malicious and waha, it was me the entire time. It was just like this is just kind of my feelings about that. Okay. But I wanna caveat that with like, I'm not really familiar with her, so I wasn't
Okay.
really when you said, "Oh, did you buy it?" I was like, I have no choice.
I
She's
have
telling
no
me that I
choice
should.
but to buy. Yeah. Yeah, I guess it's just interesting when some, I mean, a 16-year-old, I feel like that's more of a 12-year-old who would say, I want to be powerful. But as a 16-year-old, I would just look around and think about all the normal humans that are superheroes and why can't she be that way? I guess when you get down to it, this arc has really much been this relationship between Dinah and Sin, and so Dinah's trying to find a way to Sin, and Sin in a way is trying to find her way to Dinah, but just in another capacity. I will say, writing wise, to nitpick, I feel like the Megara's voice changed because it was very formal, and then it started or it became informal. Like I'm just looking at this page right here, and Dinah's saying, "Oh God, it's even weirder inside her than looking at it from the outside." And Megara says, "Rude." And later on, there's a bubble where Megara uses like, kind of in a California y way, and I'm not sure where that decision came from, but I didn't like it as much. But I don't know that I necessarily have as many points to bring up on this one as I normally do. I'm looking forward to seeing what six is and if we get back to the dream team that we've encountered. As a Maps fan, we're fellow Maps fans. What do you think about Maps? What have you thought about Maps in this uh, current story, and then her place in this issue?
It's like such a different version that it's hard to kind of
Meridian.
reconcile the two.
I
Like,
know.
have they flat out explained how she came to be this way?
No, I think just that she's, I believe, from the future.
Sure.
So that's all we know.
Yeah, I'm not saying this isn't Maps Mizuguchi, but like it's
Yeah.
just it's because like she's still like a kid. Even in the Batgirl storyline, she's not a hero yet. She even
Mm.
had like a backup story in like Batman Black and White where she was a sort of pseudo Robin, but she's not really been on a path to costume heroism.
Hmm.
So it's kind of like, you know, that's Betty Brant. She's Galactus kind of thing. It's like you can say that, but it's hard for
Yeah.
me to like, see that as this is now Mizuguchi. This is a time displaced variant of her essentially.
Yeah, that's what I imagine. I wish there were more moments between her and Cass, just because we remember in Batgirls that they had kind of that one quasi adventure. But I think maybe Thompson is doing what a good writer does, seeding many questions so that she can pull those threads through for the future arcs. So I feel like if this arc is mostly focused on Dinah and Sin's relationship, then we're dropping different things about Zealot, for instance, and about Maps' Meridian, and then hopefully Thompson will carry that through and answer our questions in future arcs. That's what I imagine, because otherwise it'd be a lot of info dumping.
Yeah. It's fine. I like how she has these little asides, like grab this built, let's scare him ahead. So she
Yeah.
is recognizably Maps in that way. She's not
Yeah.
like Miss Stoic or whatever.
Yep.
It's good, but there's a lot of stuff happening. The plan and getting into the mascara and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So Maps's inclusion is kind of like when she shows up, it's like, oh yeah, she's here in a way.
Yeah. I don't want her to be abused as a Deus ex machina, where she kind of, because right now it seems like she kind of is that way, where at these like intense moments she pops up and so she's able to help out. So I hope that that is used sparingly. That would be my only
Mhm.
concern. But yes. Any other thoughts on this issue?
I think the Amazons have been presented because I feel that like as tricky as it is to get in, and of course the big things they don't want to alert Diana, but it seems like that like they've generally survived these fights with these Amazons fairly successfully. And yes, they are superheroes. I mean, it's not like these are nobodies getting the drop on them. But I am surprised like in some of these scenes the Amazons are kind of rendered as just sort of like like kind of like NPC henchmen from a video game rather than the Amazons who are meant to be like the best fighters on the planet.
Yeah.
And so I kind of go back and forth because sometimes, well, it's Cassandra Cain, it's like Barda. Like these are guys are people who are trained to fight, as much as long as they have been. But in other ways, I'm like, you know, if I think about Harley Quinn beating Amazon, my nose is going to bleed. But like, it is. I am wondering how what the difficulty level should be, or they just kind of need the plot to go along.
Well, Harley did beat Cassandra with a fish.
She didn't beat her. Can Cassandra say that she beat me?
She
What are you
distracted
thinking?
her with a fish. She distracted her with a fish. And then I think some other things happened. I wish I had the issue now.
Oh, and then I think
And
some other things happen.
yeah, I think a bookcase fell and it was a distraction. Yeah. I mean, I'm just saying it was
That's not
close
what I asked you.
combat. Man, Donovan goes from 0 to irate in less than a millisecond whenever you talk about dear Cassandra in
I can.
less than glowing terms, I have to say. So, but I would say that I talked pretty well about her. Yeah, any other thoughts? I feel bad that I don't have much to say about
Well, I mean,
this.
like,
I just feels
did,
out of it.
does it not come across to you? I'm just asking, like, about the Amazons. Like, did they,
Oh,
does
the
it,
Amazons.
in
I
regards, like, should they be easy not easy, but like, what's the difficulty level in fighting them?
I would say that it should be high difficulty. If I can kind of agree with you about Harley. I probably more agree than disagree. The only thing I would say I mean, Cass, Big Barda. I think because Zealot is a big question mark for us, it speaks more to her prowess than it does, I think, the weakness of the Amazons. I'm trying to see. Of course, she's hacking and slashing, and she made that. I don't know how they're living. This middle panel, she has cut somebody in half, but she made that whole pact that she can't be killed and she can't kill somebody else. So I don't know what exactly is happening right there in that panel. But Zealot is, as I say, for every episode, the big question mark for me. So I would say yes, but perhaps it's the previous issue is more realistic in the fact that they were able to take down the birds and imprison them, with the exception of Cass. But here it seems like
I
they
like
were
that. Yeah, yeah.
defeated.
Just you didn't even see it. It was just like
Yeah,
next page, they're all in jail.
yeah. So who knows? So I would say yes and no. I mean, I guess plot wise, we gotta stop fighting them at some point. But they're all under the control of the Megara or Megara. Yeah, I don't know. I agree with you. I'll just go with that. Are you okay with that?
No, but I'm not even like salty about it. I'm just like because as I was thinking, I was like, well, these are very very capable
Yeah.
women, and they've been talking the entire time about how anxiety drenched this mission is. But then we get scenes of them just like like we gotta do this, we gotta do that. Like they're talking like as they're kind of fighting the Amazons,
Yeah.
and I'm thinking, I think it just kind of plays out differently than how I would like to imagine it.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to be critical. I'm not trying to just say a word against it. I'm just those are thoughts that come into my head as they kind of come on because these kind of storylines where we have a mission, we got to do this mission, get all these people here
Yeah.
for the mission. Stuff just happens sometimes to kind of bring the plot along, and the realities of the mission that they talked so much about kind of dip in difficulty as the pages go on, and that's with a lot of comics. That's not unique to this. It also, it depends because and it's funny because like we mentioned in the last issue, uh, when Maps disappeared, they got immediately arrested. So maybe that's not really a complaint I should lobby that against because we saw how it went the other way in the previous issue. So
Yeah, and I'm wondering about this publisher synopsis because it makes it seem like the Birds of Prey and the Amazons are working together. So I don't know if that's an issue with the solicitation or that was a plan and then the plan changed because clearly the Amazons are still against the Birds of Prey. So
yeah,
I don't
yeah,
know
until the end.
how, yeah. So I'm not sure if something happened to warrant a change. But yeah, no, it is interesting that they were in jail and now it looks like Zealot is the only one fighting against multiple Amazons. So yeah, you do wonder, I guess there's an inconsistency, I guess. Is one person able to take down multiple or is it tough for multiple birds to face multiple Amazons? So I can call your inconsistency. I see what you're saying. Any other thoughts on issue 5?
I just think that uh, I just am not big a fan of this artist as I am Leo Romero. Leo Romero's artwork was not only like really awesome and fun to look at, but also very clean
Yeah.
in storytelling.
Mm-hmm,
And when
mm-hmm.
they kind of fight like a big monster as well as all these other different kinds of people,
Yeah.
storytelling just becomes a lot less clear.
Yeah.
And when characters' facial expressions don't kind of react, don't map to the situation at hand, it muddies the reading experience. Um, it's I really want Leo Romero to come back, please.
Yeah. Same. So fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. This was just a blip. It was just a blip. And issue 6, we'll get back to it. And yeah, we'll love it.
Bad issue, but just not like the previous issues. I'd be like, why shouldn't I give this a 10? I mean, those issues were. I was like, this is so cool.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
love
yeah,
it. This
yeah.
this this is comics, and this one's just like it's a thing that happened.
Yeah, and it was so weird that I thought, "Am I in a bad mood?" And I was like, "No, it's not me." Because sometimes, like, my mood will affect how I receive a comic, but I reread it again this morning in preparation for this, and I was like, "No, I still feel the same way." But I still trust Thompson. Okay, well, what would you give this out of 10 birds?
I really can't say much against the writing.
Mhm.
I didn't care for the artwork too much. I mean, the artwork's not out and out bad, just the style I don't really care for. So I'll give it, I think, an average 7 out of 10.
Okay. Yeah, I'll raise you a bit and because just generally I'm more positive. Give it a 7.5 out of 10. Yeah, the only nitpick about the writing is just I think I saw that informality creep in, which I wasn't sure why that was happening. Unless she's already sucking the life force out of Sin and is deciding to talk like a 16-year-old. But even Sin doesn't really talk like that. So I don't know. Yeah, art wise, I would say it's not bad, but I agree with you that I was just looking at that where Zealot is saying, like, how do we take him down? And like she has like a puckered lips, and it was just like that looks
To
like
me,
something.
it was the makeup. It was the
Yeah.
eyeshadow. So this looks like a cover artist for or something. I don't know.
They're all like hinge profile pictures.
Yeah.
Something like that. Okay, well, we shall move on. I just have one listener email.
Did you read Nightwing?
I did not read Nightwing, sadly. Yeah, I thought, oh, should I? Because my woman crush is on there, but no, I'm behind. I think I have yet to read the pirate arc, so I need to read all of that and then catch up. Though I did see the cover where Damien is a cat and he's going to push something off of
Yeah,
just like
he's
a
called
cat.
Mr. Mittens.
Oh, I'm excited for it. Yeah, so I need to get back to that for sure. So this comes from Earth to Shayna regarding Batgirl the Oracle, number 241. Hi, Stella. Happy 14th anniversary. Hands down, my favorite scene from issue number 4 was Cass freeing the birds from the prison cell. I laughed out loud at Dinah's verbal realization. Were you even in here? Were you even ever in here? I can't tell at this point which member of the team I like best. Honestly, every character feels so unique and full. I appreciate each of them for different reasons. I don't know how Thompson is doing it, but I hope she doesn't stop. I think some of the magic comes from being able to tactfully weave personal moments into the high stakes and action scenes. Whether it's Harley making a quip in the middle of battle or Dinah caring for Barda in the prison cell, it all just helps bring the characters and story to life. It's great knowing that Barbara will be making an appearance in a couple of issues. It's unfortunate that some fans take out all their frustrations on writers. As you mentioned, they don't always have the final say in their stories, and when being a writer is your livelihood, it isn't so simple to rebel and walk away, even if it is what you want to do. Not much else to say on Birds of Prey, except that I cannot wait for the next issue and to see how this arc closes. Here are a few of my favorites from 2023. Anime, Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2. Comic.
Oh God.
I don't know. That's interesting that you have that reaction.
I saw season 2 was brutal. It was a brutal season.
Oh dear. Comic Birds of Prey by Kelly Thompson. No surprise. Music artist Noah Khan, who did Stick Season and I think Call Drunk or Drunk Call. So I have heard of him. Book Alone Together, Why We Expect More from Technology and Less from Each Other. Didn't come out this year, but I read it this year. I don't think I read any books that came out in 2023. Favorite thing I learned, how to play Riichi Mahjong. And finally, on Sherman Alexi, I was not aware of his opinions about Me Too. Good to know. Happy New Year. I hope you achieve everything you want in 2024. Thank you, Shayna. So I do want to, yes, be clear about Sherman Alexi. I was kind of hemming and hawing, hedging my language because I did not have with me the evidence and I have this now annoying quality of demanding evidence from people, which I think I actually recommend that you start doing this, people, not in like little things, but when someone tells you something and it seems like it could be important, I think that we should ask evidence. So if it's like a dietary, like blah, blah is bad for you, I would ask just because there's a lot of misinformation going around. Donovan and I have talked about misinformation in the dating world, which I think it has already become and will continue to be like very toxic and damaging to people, in particular, I think women. So just in case, I just couldn't give you specifics because I didn't have anything pulled up because I didn't know that Shayna was going to mention Sherman Alexi, but he was accused. This article is just from 2018. In a very Harvey Weinstein sort of way, he used his power and popularity as a writer to target other people. And so these women have come forth, unfortunately, like even more unfortunate than just women. They were of the indigenous population because they looked up to him as an indigenous person and writer. And so he would fawn over, this is just an example, but he would fawn over people's writing. A poet talks about that, and another writer. And then he would do certain things. And one woman was quoted as saying, like, I thought that he liked my writing, but it was just he wanted to have sex with me. So you can find this article if you choose to, but this is just a reason why I choose not to, promote his writing, or I just have the freedom to choose whether or not I want to read somebody's work. And so I'm going to say no. Unfortunately for me, I became a bit of a hypocrite, though unknowingly, because the
Fortunately.
next I unfortunately, because sometimes I like to be a hypocrite. I'm just kidding. On the next required reading, I chose Carol, also known as The Price of Salt by Patricia Highsmith, and recommended it. I had already read it once. Tom and I we're getting ready. I do my kind of history of the author in the book, and then I find a subsection in her biography about religious and political beliefs. And within that, I'm reading, oh, she's an atheist. I'm like, okay. And then it goes down and she's an avowed anti-Semite. And so I'm
Oh
reading
Lord.
this and I'm like, and like it has quotes of hers and stuff. And so it's too late. I've already said we're doing this show. Tom and I have already read the book. We're recording in a few hours. So that is an unfortunate thing where I, gave an author a platform, but Tom and I had that discussion. I bring it up on the episode because I didn't want to, I mean, it needs to be aired. But I think now I've come to the realization, like my own personal responsibility, not only being a podcaster, but I think personally that I guess I should start doing background informational checks and biographical checks on authors before I read them. I mean, he even mentioned, Tom mentioned, that's the reason why I'm not going to read Ender's Game, because Orson Scott Card has said homophobic things. And I'm like, oh my gosh, someone gave me Ender's
Oh yeah.
Game. I was thinking about using that as a thing. So I think it's just, especially because of our literature podcast, but me who really doesn't want to engage with that and has a difficulty separating or divorcing the work from the author, to kind of start doing that. But I mean, obviously Highsmith is dead now, so who knows where that money is going. But I would caution you at least to do some research, because I just think about this person who, I'm sure you heard of this. Well, I brought it up to you, and I think Harry did as well. I can't remember her name, which is probably okay. But now, if someone asks for evidence, I can't give you it. Who had I think, a movie deal already, but her book had yet to be published, and she creates fake accounts and starts review bombing other
Oh yeah,
author
yeah, yeah,
debuts,
yeah.
and these authors are minorities. And then this whole thing, it just gets out of control. But I'm just like, I would prefer to know that about somebody and not support their work rather than, yeah, just blindly going. So all that to say, that about Truman Alexi, and then I do apologize about Patricia Highsmith. Yes. Okay. Any thoughts on that? Do you have any thoughts about Death of the Author? Are you able to divorce an author and their political views or social views or history from the work that they produce? I don't think you and I have ever
I
talked
think
about this.
we talked about that before the show, and I think it kind of depends. Um, like I think Chuck Dixon will go down as one
Uh,
of the all-time great comic book writers, DC writers, and especially Batman writers. Like his work is just so foundational to how we enjoy these characters. Not that he's like done anything bad, but like his politics are I think are pretty verboten,
mhm.
not just conservative. Um, and I know that like I've had disagreements with other folks. Like I ever when Kanye West was going on his rampage last year, I was asking Denmark, do you think you'll ever listen to his music again? He was like, "Oh, sure, I'll listen to his music again whenever I want." But that doesn't automatically mean endorsement.
Yeah.
So it kind of does depend on person and particularly what their status does represent. That was interesting because I was listening to you talk about Sherman Lexley yesterday, and I was not aware of him because we have our books at his store. I was not aware of him and all those things going on. So I thought that was an interesting discussion, especially because he's a modern writer.
Yeah.
And Patricia Highsmith, I've read The Talented Mr. Ripley
Yeah.
and I'm aware of her as an author. I've seen the movie Carol. I
Hmm.
didn't know that she was an anti-Semite either. So in
Yes.
many ways, especially when it comes to people who were dead, you can't really blame yourself for knowing that. Like,
Yeah.
people can have bad reactions to that. It depends on how you carry yourself with as much knowledge as you do have going forward, I think.
Yeah.
So it depends.
I remember yeah, and I guess it's just like I think you make a misstep or you learn something, and then it's how you react after you learn that thing. So I remember going to Cracker Barrel and I got a Grogu calendar and I took a picture and sent it to Carolyn Coke and I was like, I got this from Cracker Barrel. And she said, you know about Cracker Barrel's policies, right? And I'm like, no. And so then, I found out about
We
their
go to Cracker Barrel
policies.
all the time.
Well, maybe you need to look up their policies. I think it's gotten better. But they had like some anti yeah, I don't want to misspeak again. I'll hedge my language, but it seemed like it was some anti-queer employment things, stuff like
I
that.
think my dad was uh aware of that whole lawsuit, and we talked about it like years ago. Because the one that's near our house. They have a sign that says "We welcome everybody. Please don't not come in." So it's not been a
Please
problem for
don't
us,
not
but like
come in. Yeah.
I think they kind of like buried the lead with that name of the restaurant. But that's neither here nor there.
Oh, Cracker Barrel. Okay. Well, enough of that. Are you reading anything? Anything that Stella gave you by Naomi Alderman? Not her new book, but another book.
I will be soon.
Oh, big
I will
D.
be soon. That's not
Uh-huh.
well. My New Year's resolution is to read more, so that is more likely than not. I am reading a book that you got me for Christmas, psychology.
Yeah.
Uh, well, okay. I've been reading that set. I've been reading every single day. I did leave it at the store uh, when we left this closed the store early, and I've not been back since. As a matter of fact, I got a text in between our recordings saying, "Is this book yours?" I was like, "Yes, it's mine. Please don't shelve it." Um, but if I may, um, reading that book has led to a very fun two-parter, which I'm proud of us doing over at Questions We Don't Have Answers. So, Psychology, a book by the mononymic author Vern, is about the filmography of Steven Seagal, action, Hollywood celebrity, and terrible person. Talk about separating the death of the author
Yeah.
topic. But so I was reading the book, and it talks about the film that he did called The Patriot, in which there is a cameo appearance by his real life daughter, Ayako Fujitani. He married in the late or mid 70s in Japan when he lived in Japan. He had a daughter, and whose mother he divorced in the mid 80s. But she in 1998 was a cameo in his film. In a film in which he plays a very doting father, which is very interesting to read. And so, so she has a daughter. So I looked her up. She has her own film career and writing career completely separated from him, which is very interesting. And one of the first things that she did was a movie 2 years later in Japan, which was inspired by her time filming The Patriot in LA with Steven Seagal, about a movie about a woman who's experienced extreme emotional distress and PTSD and trauma with her family. And so Harry and I were fascinated by this anecdote. So we did a commentary and a discussion on the film The Patriot on questions we don't have answers. Then we went over to Harry's own site and podcast with Eyes East. Watched we watched the film Shikijitsu, or Ritual as it can be called, and we had a discussion about Ritual on his website, which is out today as we record this episode. So we had a two-part discussion on this whole thing, and I thought it came out to be a pretty fun time.
Or do you want me to tell you what our mutual boyfriend said about it?
Well, yes.
No, I'm just kidding. He only had positive things. He did like the second film better than the first though.
Oh, I know.
Okay. I'm sure he makes no. I did call him out though. So I guess I'll say I make him watch movies with me. So because he betrayed me again and recorded with you on one of our game nights, I said, okay, well, now you are watching a film with me and you're at my whim basically because we're in Oscar season. So I need to watch some of these films. So he complains when I make him watch these, but he's not complaining when you make him. It's a toxic little triad we have here.
The
I don't
only
know
thing
why I
that
get
I
all the
made him
negativity.
watch, the only thing I made him watch that he felt half done by was the series finale to the original Star Trek because it was very, very misogynist. And he said on the podcast, "Yes, I hate this, and I don't know why you made me watch this," which made for a really good episode.
Yeah, well, you get away with a lot more than I do, I have to say. So he's never.
Oh, I would disagree with that.
You
Get away with?
disagree? Well,
Uh,
there are only two films I think that I've like forced him to watch that he was not looking forward to, and that would be Babylon, which was 3 hours, and Five Nights at Freddy's.
I saw that in theaters.
You saw that in theaters?
I thought he saw that in theaters. You guys watch it together?
Yes. Well, because it was on Peacock for free.
Okay,
I
okay,
never turned
okay.
down a free film. Yeah. So I don't know what to say. The film that I made him watch was Anatomy of a Fall, and he actually did like it. So there we go. A win in the bank.
Interesting.
Yeah. Okay. Well, any other yes, please go listen to that two-parter for sure.
Yes,
Um,
please.
any other books that you're reading?
Uh, Power very soon. The Android's Dream of Electric Sheep is next on the Barnes Noble Book Club, which I've also been being absent from, so it's not just you.
Oh.
Uh, and I just really hope to read a lot more this coming. I feel better. I feel more like myself when I read, and since the pandemic I really haven't read too much beyond comic books. So there is that. Um, Anything that you want to mention?
Oh
Well, I
my
guess did you already
gosh,
mention
so
your?
many. No, I haven't gone
Oh,
through.
shoot.
So I'll do this quickly. At Night I Become a Monster by Yoru Sumina, and this was my nephew's book, and my mother, his grandmother, also read it, and they kept recommending it, and so I finally read it. I did enjoy it. Um, Something that Big D recommended to me: Unlikable Female Characters: The Women Pop Culture Wants You to Hate by Anna Bugutskaya. And
Hmm.
yeah, Donovan maybe a couple years ago, and then I tried to like find it. My library didn't have it, and now through some suspicious means I have a library card through another library, and they had it, so I could finally read it. But I really enjoyed it, especially because she goes through like a long history of Hollywood. So it's not just recent stuff, but she's like mentioning older Hollywood actresses and like pre-talkies and things like that. So it's also been
Nice.
fun to mention some of the stuff that goes on and talk to my mom about it. Like, oh, did you know this about this person? Like, did you know that um what was her name? Hedy Lamarr had the first orgasm on screen. Like, it's like very interesting. But it's broken down kind of different guess personae of women, like the bitch, the slut, the nag,
Yeah,
like
I
that kind of
skimmed
stuff that
through it.
goes through it. Yeah,
I
yeah,
caught
yeah.
that.
So I recommend that. Definitely to the professor Coca. I think she would like that. Alien Echo by Mira Grant, which is a YA novel, but it's a character that's in this alien game that Harry and I play. The Normal Heart by Larry Kramer. Found that randomly on a little thing at the high school I sub at, and I was like, oh, I'll take that. Ooh, a two and manga that Big D got me 15 minutes before we really date, volume one. And this is in Japanese. Oh no. Hello, Melancholic. Also volume one.
Yes,
So both
yes.
of those I have loved. And then
Oh,
Dark
great.
Races by Gillian Flynn. And is there anything? Oh, and well, besides the price of salt. Happy Place by Emily Henry. Not my least favorite of hers, but it was painful to get through. It's a trope. Donovan and I have been talking about romance frequently, romance novels and things and tropes. And I will confess that a great number of books, because I've probably read like 12 by now. I'm kind of in this hole of smut right now that I can't seem to pull myself out of. But there are so
Hell
many
yeah.
tropes. Every other trope, every other book I read, not an exaggeration, has the fake dating trope. This one is somewhat that with Happy Place, but it is one that I think I despise the most, where it was a couple that was together, broke up, but they have to go somewhere with a group of friends. So instead of telling the truth, they think it's better to be together and then reveal it at some other time, and it's just emotionally painful. So, it just took me longer to read because it was hard to pick it up. Once I was in it, it wasn't so bad, but I just don't like that. But I've noticed now with Emily Henry that she has a lot of, kind of emotional manipulation storylines with the so Beach
Mm.
Read is by far the best one of hers, so that's the one I recommend. So if you want some of those tropes. But yes, I'm getting lots of interesting tropes. I do like friends to lovers, enemies to lovers. I also enjoy the grumpy sunshine type of people. I don't like friends with benefits because I just don't think that that exists personally. I know it literally exists, but I just think it's too hard to do that. And then the fake dating business, which is practically friends with, I just don't like that trope either, but we're making it. And now I'm connected, kind of. I mean, it's not like I'm texting her to one of Donovan's colleagues because I asked him to ask her like what's with all these hockey romances, and then also asked her thoughts on the fake dating trope and what that came about. But yeah, lots of hockey romances that I'm into now, so hopefully I'll get out of the smut sometime, but not in time for Valentine's Day. So this guy will actually be on the next episode. I don't think last year we did a shipper special because I was just like knee deep in work, but I've come up with the idea. We know what we're doing. Donovan hopefully remembers. If not, I'll remind him afterwards. But
What was
it's
it
funny.
again?
But, it's funny you talked about a two-part. This shipper special is going to be kind of a 2-year two-part. It will connect to next year's as well. So I won't reveal what it is, but it's I think it'll be fun. Toxicity might abound. But yes, so look forward to that. So I guess no comics next month, but I'll do 6 and 7 of Birds of Prey in the following month. So yeah. Donovan, you already kind of mentioned quinoa, but where else can people go and support you?
I mean, I still review Nightwing on the BatmanUniverse.net, and I still am very much employed by DCComics.com, writing content for them. The most recent published work that I have is Batman's Closest Calls. I mean, the 5 times Batman almost died, but
Oh,
escaped with the skin of his cape. That was fun to
man, we were almost rid of him 5 times.
read.
Bad
Are
trip.
you are you
Rest in
watching
peace.
are you watching the like the DC animated movies at all?
It's
Like
been a
Government
long
Crisis and
time.
stuff? Yeah, no, I'm not. The last one I saw was Long Halloween Part 1,
Okay.
and I didn't care for it, so I've not seen them since. But I know that like they're doing Crisis on Infinite Earths,
Yeah.
and they have a preview for Part 2, and Barbara Gordon Batgirl shows up. So I don't know if you were aware of that.
I might need to. Someone did, I feel like the last one was Gotham by Gaslight that I watched. But then a recent one came out. The new editor of the Batman universe had texted or emailed me and said, "Are you watching these?" But Barbara pops up. I was like, "Oh," so I guess I need to maybe catch up on some of the Batman ones. But
Yeah, but I'm not paying attention. Obviously, I say obviously, but like honestly, I've not consistently enjoyed. I liked some of like the Titans ones fine, Death of Superman, but like they used to be really like immediately when they came out, I get them, and they're not anymore. Which is
yeah,
to say that they all suck, but
yeah,
they're not all appointment viewing either
yeah. Well, at least they're on Max for free, so you
for
don't
now.
have to buy them. Yeah, I know. Seriously, for now. Okay, well, send any questions or comments to backrolltheoracle@gmail.com. If you played Marvel Spider-Man 2, let us know what you think about it. Like the show on Facebook or follow it on Twitter, X-Twitter, at Backroll the Oracle. Subscribe to the show on YouTube for an uncut version, as well as seeing images that I put on the screen, like Donovan's bodacious behind. No, I didn't put that on there. But he did shake it. He did shake it. Follow the Batman Universe on Facebook and Twitter as well, and support the Batman Universe by subscribing to Patreon. Once again, thanks to Mile High Comics for sponsoring Backroll the Oracle, the Barbara Gordon podcast. And until next time,
Hi, I'm Babs Lovers.
bye, lovers.